Hello and welcome to another edition of the Plus One. We got Joey via Zoom this time because Joey just a busy man these days. So he made time to come with us, to come join us on via Zoom. What's going on, man?
What's going on, man? I'd love to be here, but yeah, it's a crazy week, and I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Thanks for having me on.
Oh yeah, man. It was a nice, relaxing Thanksgiving. I sat in the house. That's all I did. Nothing much. Nothing too crazy. Man, football season, that's a wrap for us. That's a wrap. For the winners for fall sports, Thursday officially wrapped it up in the city of Lynn. Man, we had Wednesday, Thursday, we were out at Manning Field to three games. Kicking off the slate was Wednesday night's action, Kip Academy and Kip Academy and Lynn Tech. This one was all about Kip. Kip came out in this one, and they jumped out early, and they really never looked back. And we got to give a lot of credit to the quarterback, Eli Machado. Finished off. This was one of the best examples of not starting off really good, but then you finished off really strong. And he had a great game against Lynn Tech, 163 or 65 yards. 3 touchdowns, 57 yards on the ground. Just a great all-around game for him.
Yeah, and in his post-game interview, he said he just wanted people to know his name, and I think mission accomplished in that regard. He was fantastic. He was making throws when needed. He was gaining yards with his legs on the ground. And if you think about it, he's so young that in terms of a crowd size, that was probably his biggest stage yet. I know they played St. Mary's early, and they've had a couple games on the road in front of strong crowds, but you could say that was perhaps his biggest crowd, his biggest stage so far in his young career. And I just thought passed the test, and he was fun to talk to afterward. The item, we were able to catch him and catch Rabbit, and it was a fun day for Kip and Tech. When you go down multiple possessions early, sometimes it's just hard to climb back. And I think I think Kip showed off its star power a little bit.
And the way Tech plays too, their style of play offensively, they're a very ground and pound oriented offense. So it's kind of hard to ground and pound when you're playing catch up for a majority of the game. So that's kind of what they fell into. But they had some high moments this season too. I mean, it didn't go out like I'm sure they're not happy the way the season ended, but they had some great moments this season. They made the tournament once again. They were able to get a tournament game. Their quarterback, he was only a freshman. He's got freshman but second year as a starting quarterback, so he's only gonna gain more experience and get better. But Tech got nothing to hang their heads on. They had a really good season, very entertaining season too.
Yeah, when I think of Lynn Tech season, I think of that cold, rainy game against Saugus where they pulled it out 3-0, thanks to some underclassmen heroics, and that was a morale-boosting win for the Tigers. And yeah, they were able to win some games. They had obviously a large portion of their schedule being on the road. They didn't play at Manning Field until the very end of the year. I think 2 games, including the Thanksgiving game, so that's not a lot of home field time, but I thought they made the most of it, and a lot of boxes to check off successfully for Lynn Tech.
Yeah, definitely, and I think they got some guys coming back. I know they've graduated some, but they do got guys coming back, so they got something to build on from this season. Also, Kip I know they're graduating a couple seniors, but talking to one of the coaches, a lot of their skill guys are coming back next season too. So another year of experience. They got continuity, and they've been building. But I believe we got to pay attention to these realignments too, where if they might fall to Division 7 or they might stay in Division 8. We got to pay attention to that. But yeah, there's some good things are happening with Kip and their program.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think they've proven themselves as a legitimate team, a legitimate opponent, to the point in which when you see them on the schedule, you know, okay, we got to play our best. Kip Academy is not a team you run over. It's not a team you look over. And Coach Jim Rabbit, all the assistants. I just think they've got the program in the right spot right now. And it was shown in front of a lot of fans Wednesday night, and I think that was a great win for them.
Yeah, definitely. What did they finish the seasons 8-3 or 7-4? Do you remember?
No, I want to say Kip was 6-5, 7-5, somewhere in there.
Around there? Okay. All right. They finished above 500.
I'd like to think so, a little above.
That's all I mean. We should have had this, but I'd be forgetting. St. Mary's, we know their record. They finished 9-2 on the season, and I didn't know that Maxwell was hurt, so I didn't know he was hurt for like the later part of their season. But Dimitri and Rowan, they were some work horses. I can't even talk. Work horses against Fenwick. Dimitri, 23 carries, close to 200. He had 188, 3 touchdowns. Rowan added, I believe, like 75 or 80 yards with a couple touchdowns himself. Had a big catch where he ran over the defender. That ground game and they played fast too. That's the first time I saw them play that up tempo, and it worked to their advantage, putting up over 40 points.
I don't know about you, but I think I could tell within the first 2 or 3 drives that the game was going to go St. Mary's way. Maybe even that first drive. Just the pace, the tempo, and the overall speed. Big shout out to Rowan Merriman. He ran the ball great. He was a man on a mission, running over, those Crusaders and everything. But Dimitri Koutsaflakis was the man on Thanksgiving Eve, 188 yards, like you said. And just talking to him after the game, he seemed so appreciative of Coach Sean Driscoll and the opportunity he was given, because he was at Catholic Memorial, then he was at Winthrop for 2 years, and then he just got his chance at running back here at St. Mary's, and he ran away with it, no pun intended.
But and the funny thing is, I met his dad that game too. His dad, because his dad came up to where I was, and he was trying to give John Hoffman. He was just trying to thank John Hoffman for all the great things he was saying about his son. And I just started talking to him. And it was a really nice guy, really good interaction. St. Mary's, that's another team next year we gotta be on the lookout for, because they have a lot of guys returning next year. They're gonna lose all talent. Tyler Guy, Mr. Versatility himself. I mean, he's probably one of the best all-around, but he's probably the best all-around player there is in the city. Losing him is gonna be a blow. But I think they have some guys that are gonna be waiting to step up and try to fill that void next season, and they're young too. So, they could make that run back to Gillette next season.
Yeah, they've got a lot of young linemen, a lot of young defenders who are very effective and will be, if not already. And then Maxwell Parent, I'm sure, will lead the way next year. He's so physical, so passionate, and he runs the ball hard. I mean, you think about if he was able to get touches against Fenwick, they would have. I mean, the 3-headed monster, Fenwick couldn't even contain the 2-headed monster of Koutsaflakis and Merriman. So I agree with the philosophy and the culture they've got over there, with Coach Driscoll helming the program, of course. I like their odds again next year to be an effective team.
My motto: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah, that running attack is gonna be. It's not gonna. There's gonna be no drop off. I'll say that there will not be a drop off next year. We might even have a different type of effectiveness next year with Rowan and Maxwell back there. So yeah, good things are in store for St. Mary's. 9-2 season. They definitely second place in their conference. That lost to Fenwick. That one lost to Fenwick. I mean Feeheen, I should say. Excuse me, Bishop Feeheen. But hey, they did a lot of great things this year, and they were healthy. That was the key thing. They were healthy.
Oh, yeah, and I know I've said it on this show before, but talking to Coach Driscoll the other night, he reiterated on the fact that the play of the offensive line and just the overall maturity of the team, those were the keys. And also wrapping up Fenwick receivers, Fenwick running backs, they were able to do that on the defensive end. So well done from St. Mary's, another successful season. I know they're a team like that, a program like that is always disappointed when you don't get a state championship, but they just about checked off every other box, so well done. for the Spartans. Yeah.
Yeah, well done. And last but not least on our slate, Lynn English High, Lynn Classical. Man, what a game for Lynn English quarterback Jaden Rosario. I mean, I'm so proud of that young man. That was probably the best game he's played in a Bulldogs uniform in his 4 years. Very efficient, effective. Got the ball to the guys. 226 yards, 3 touchdowns. Bulldogs made some adjustments to stop that running game. I mean, the Rams went on a 20-play drive that took about 12 minutes. They started around the 2:50 mark in the first quarter and ended at the 1:15 mark in the second quarter. But I gotta give a big shout out to Lynn Classical too, because for most of the part, they kept it close for a little while, and then that interception was the momentum swing. That interception in the second half, as they were driving into Bulldogs territory, that was the momentum swing right there.
Yeah, I've got a couple things I wanted to talk about, starting with Jaden Rosario. Something, on the field, he's going to do his thing. He was making throws, he was running the ball, he was leading the team. But something that I know Coach Tyler McDonald loves and that I know Athletic Director Dick Newton loves is how just professional and classy he was after the game. I loved talking to him, and he was such a good kid, smiling. We kind of told him his statistics. He's like, really? So I was just happy with what he was able to do and deliver. As for the game itself, yes, Classical, that was one of the best drives I've seen this year. A masterclass in chewing up the clock and, short rushing gains. 6-6, and then, we asked Coach McDonald what happened, regarding his halftime adjustments. He said he knows his cousin well, well, I don't know how deep you want to look into that, but he said he adjusted his defense to stop the run in the second half, and that definitely worked. And Coach McDonald after the game, just so great, so appreciative and fun, and I really liked talking to them. They represented their family very well. For those listening for the first time, they are cousins, and just happy that the both of them got to have a fun day.
And I saw Coach Vaughn yesterday as I was making my rounds, and it was more so. It was just glad though his guys competed. His guys competed, and it was a rough on him as a head coach because he was losing so many guys to injuries. I think they had like 3 or 4 guys go down with ACL injuries. At one point, they were playing a freshman quarterback because their starting quarterback was out and the backup quarterbacks were out. So it was a season of adjustments. But yeah, those guys. They fought until they fought even despite the score. They were fighting, and that's been the story of their season. They fought in all the games that they played despite like who was out there, who wasn't out there. It was just a long season, but they were able to do some things.
Oh yeah, I think Coach Vaughn, his head was held very high after the game. He was happy and very proud. His seniors went 3-1 on Thanksgiving Day games, so nothing to hang their heads about. And yeah, I mean, they were a team that was beating Peabody 14-0 before its starting quarterback went down. Like, they could really play. I don't like to make excuses for teams, and I've said this on the show before, but if you're going to give an excuse, I mean, Classical just dealt with so many injuries that it was hard to really sustain any sort of consistency and chemistry with all those injuries. Well done, I think, for the Rams. A successful fall season, even if the record doesn't show it, in my opinion.
Who was consistent there? Tyron Hunn, Jabin Pierre, Javon Claiborne. Those guys really, they were really consistent. Javon, he had a couple injuries, but when he was out there, he went from, because he went from receiver to now being thrown in as quarterback, and he did the best he could. There's a lot of guys on that team that did really well. For this Lynn English senior group, this group of guys, they've been through a lot. I've talked to them off camera a lot, and just they've been through a lot in 4 years. We'll put it at that. They've been through a lot in 4 years, and I think this was kind of what encapsulated what they wanted to achieve. Everything like came together for them this year, as far as like showing off with their talent. Finally beating Classical, ending that 3-game skid, and we saw each one of the seniors. We saw them contribute in different aspects.
Yeah, I mean, English was literally one of their players was doing a backflip after the game. That's how excited they were. just happy for the program, happy for Coach McDonald. I remember calling him the day he got the job, and he was just so excited and passionate right away. And there was never a doubt in his mind. Talk about confidence. There was never doubt in his mind that, asked him about his goals, and he said, maybe the tournament, maybe a certain number of wins, but he knew whether those were accomplished or not, that he was going to throw a unit out on the field every night that came to play and had a strong culture about it. And I would say mission accomplished. And then they reached the tournament. They got 7 wins, 8 wins. So well done. It's only year one. I think there's a lot of work to do. Those are his words. He's ready to go back to off-season work starting already. So we're ready to go.
And unsung hero for this team, Jordan M. He is if you look at every game this season and you look at his stats and what he did offensively and defensively, he was the unsung hero of this team. He did a lot of little things. He was a ball hawk on the defensive side in that secondary. I think he finished with 5 interceptions or so. That young man has talent.
Yeah, Lumber Thomas, Xavier Beauchamp. I mean, a lot of really effective players on English. And I know they are graduating a few guys, but I just think that with the culture and the momentum they have right now, let's see if I don't know how the participation works there, but let's see if other people get excited about watching this team and come out and play. You never know. So I just think with the culture they've created this year, even if you do lose some people, I think they'll come back strong. And I know I'm already excited for next year's matchup against Classical. So 2 programs that overcame a lot this season, and I think Coach Vaughn and Coach McDonald should be very happy, in my opinion.
Yeah, you might see some kids that didn't play football might decide to play football because of what they're building over there. Never know. Yeah. Never know. Oh, we're gonna transition real quick to we got basketball season is practices and tryouts are this week. Today is day number 2. Friday there's the jamboree at Lynn English, kind of the kickoff for high school hoops. But there's a lot of things we're gonna see with a lot of these teams, with all the teams this year. I'm excited for every single team. But the first team I want to look at is Lynn Classical. This is a very talented basketball team. This is just a very talented basketball team. They have a lot of guys who can play. They got a lot of guys who can do multiple things. I'm excited to see how they carry over from last year, going to the state tournament for the first time. I mean, they lose the league MVP. He transfers, but there's other guys, his teammates. We got DJ Reynolds, we got Cam Rucker, we got Deshaun Rucker. Those guards right there, I think they could take the helm. And DJ Reynolds, I'm really high on DJ Reynolds. I think he's one of the best all-around players in the city. I think he could do a lot. And I think this year, he can be a major contributor to this team. I'll let you go, but he's the first guy I'm really looking at on that team.
Absolutely. And one of our item team members spoke with Coach Marvin Avery yesterday, and the philosophy is the same: defense first, going your hardest, press, but I think the names and the roster is a little different, and I think you're going to see an exciting team. In my opinion, I think you're going to see a state tournament team, maybe even getting a win in those early rounds. I could definitely see a preliminary win. I know they were eliminated by Foxborough in the preliminaries last year, but no Marvin Avery, but that could be a chance for guys to step up. And we see that in sports a lot, where people step up in that regard. And very excited for another season of Classical. I think games with some of their Lynn counterparts will be more competitive than they were last year. I'm talking about English and St. Mary's and all that. So, I'm excited to see what Coach Avery and company cook up.
Keep an eye on their front court. Roki, he's there. League All-Star last year. Shaheem Bab, he's really going to be the one that's going to be one of the key pieces in that front court. And they have a 6'6" freshman, Roki's little brother, on there. He's on there too. So that front court, Devontae as well. They got some guys on the front court that can make things difficult for a lot of teams. So I think this team has, the talent-wise, they have deep tournament run talent on their team. Everything got to come together. But there's some guys on that team who I'm really high on. We're going to go to Lynn Tech. they got the backcourt, they got the guards back. Their guards are back. We're not going to worry about their backcourt. What the question mark for the team is the front court. You lose Jaden Welch, and you lose Edric Gonzalez, and then you lose the hustle guy Cesar Reyes to graduation. So now for Coach Bingham, he's just trying to figure out the front court, which guys they got a young man, the young sophomore on there. He's a pretty big kid. They're gonna see how he gets acclimated and then how he'll quickly adjust to the system. And they got some other guys on there that should not replace the production of Welch and Gonzalez, but they could try to maintain that production. They got some guys with that potential on there, and also as Coach Bingham said, which one of the young guys is going to step up and try to push themselves over.
And I think you said it perfectly. Adjust to the system. I could very much see a situation in which it's hard to replace those guys. Jaden Welch, Edric Gonzalez, fantastic athletes. I could see, a 3-3 start, a 4-5 start. But then once you buy into the system and buy into what Coach Corey Bingham, in my opinion, has proven he's been able to do the last few years, I think Tech will be just fine.
Yeah, I think they're going to be. I think they'll probably get started rolling. They start the season off with a road test against Charlestown, Division III state champs, which is going to be good for those guys just to get that experience. I mean, Charlestown's going through a transition themselves as far as like new guys on the team because they lost all their production from their state championship team. So that should be an interesting matchup. But yeah. For me, I wrote this last week. I think we're going to see another deep tournament run for Lynn Tech, and at the helm of that is Gio Jean, a guy who I'm very high on. I think he'll be in the running for the MVP for the city. He'll be in the running for the conference MVP. He'll be in the running for a lot of awards this year because he's one of the most talented players, and he's been one of the most productive players since he was a freshman.
Oh yeah, I remember talking to him his freshman year. He was just so excited, so passionate, and you could tell that with his energy and skill combined, he was going to be special. And I think this is the year to prove it. Sometimes when you watch the NBA, guys are young, they're in their rookie years or sophomore years, and you can tell that there's just so much potential and that you can't wait for years to follow. This is that time now for him, and I'm just very excited to watch him, and I know he's going to make some noise. That Tech gymnasium gets very loud, and I'm sure he'll be at the forefront of all that.
Yeah, all right, and then we go St. Mary's boys. They were a young team last year. A lot of their guys, this was their first time. They were on varsity like the prior years, but this was their first time getting in big varsity minutes, like a focal point in the varsity offense. They started off well. They were playing games. The games were coming down to the wire last year for them early on in the season. They were finding different ways to win games early on. Even there was a point where they lost a few games in the middle of the season, but then they got back on track. Tough loss in the state tournament by 1 point. It was a really good game, but J.J. Martinez is back. They've added a 6'6" big. You've got Jake Fortier back. A lot of their guys are back, and they only lost the sharpshooter, Kyle Rush. That was one of their key losses, but I think they got some guys that should be able to replace him.
Jake Fortier can really shoot that, and my gosh, you got to keep track of him when you're on defense every play. He's one of those guys with strong off-ball movement, strong around the picks. And then JJ, I think, is just the complete all-around star, one of the best players in the city. I know you'd probably agree with that. And I just think Coach Brown and company know what they're doing at this point. And with JJ leading the way, I like another above 500 season. I like another tournament berth. I like a win or two in the tournament. But time will tell. I'm really excited to see the matchups within the city during these tournaments and watching Lynn's best go up against Lynn's best. I'm very excited for all of this. Yeah.
Front court adjust because they got a couple guys that are going to be in that rotation for the first time. So quickly, how they adjust to the system and playing with guys like JJ and Jake, because those two guys are gonna get them some easy looks. It's just finishing and around the rim and all that. So how quickly they adjust. But yeah, I think this probably be a year they make a deep tournament run once again. Last year you lose in the first round, but I think they should make a deep tournament run this year. Lastly, Lynn English High. This team, another team lost production. When I look at this team, they lost their leader on the court. They lost their leader off the court. They lost the guy that keeps the team together. They lost their hustle guys. But with all that said, they got a wave of talent that's still on this roster. You got three guys in Marvin, Perkins, Denzel Gian, and Louis Ledesma, who all were a part of the team last year, who were contributors. Louis, he went down with an injury. Last year, he's back after a torn ACL, so I know he's hungry to get back on the game. Marvin and Denzel, they're trying to, make their mark with the program. I think Denzel, he might be pushed. He might be close to 1,000 points. He might get 1,000 points this year. I'm not sure. I got to look that up, but this team is still talented, and they added a guard in Andrew Karoma, who could get to the basket. I saw them play in Fall League. But yeah, this team lost some guys, but as Coach Bruce said, he's got some guys that are hungry and that are itching to get on the court and show what they can do.
Yeah, speaking of Coach, Alvin, just seeing him at Lynn English football games throughout the year, didn't matter if it was cold, didn't matter if it was raining, whatever. You ask him, you ready for the basketball season? You excited for tryouts? Whatever the conversation was, he was just so excited. He loves to talk about his guys. He's ready to go. He believes in his guys and their culture and what their program's doing. And similarly to what we said about Lynn Tech, I just think the culture's been established. The coach is there. They've got some players who have been around before the past few years. So now it's up to just everyone else buying in, and it might take a few games, right? It's about not panicking after 4, 5, 6 games and really working your way. So I like what English is doing right now, and I'll be ready to watch them in a few weeks.
And if you look at their schedule, their non-conference schedule, they are loaded up with non-conference opponents, really, really good non-conference opponents. I think they kick off. They have a back-to-back. They start off the season against Medford, and then they got a non-conference game the next day at home against Burke, which should be a really good matchup. So yeah, they loaded up on that non-conference to help their power rankings. But yeah, they're trying to get that bitter taste out their mouth from that 199 game against Marshfield, one of the wildest games. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun season. It's gonna be a fun season for all around the city, boys and girls.
That was a wild game, you're right, and a lot of emotions were into that one. And we'll see how they respond from that one. You can run or you can respond, and I think we know which way Alvin and those boys are going to go, and I'm just excited to watch that. That's another fun gymnasium once the crowd gets going and once they've got a real fun opponent in there. It's a great night. I love seeing them. I love talking to Alvin. Love seeing you there. So English high basketball, it's in a good spot. I think even though you lose some of those guys, the hustlers, the star players, the shooters, I think they'll be just fine. So I like another tournament appearance from Lynn English.
Yeah, so everything, it kicks off next on Friday. The Jamboree is Friday, so if you got nothing to do, go down to Lynn English High, catch some basketball, Jamboree. A lot of people are going to be there, and then next week things kick off for everybody. You guys are going around the practices this week, talking to coaches and players?
Yeah, we're doing it all. Going to practices, talking to players, getting some coaches and stuff on the phone, and very excited. I know I'm excited for basketball. I'm excited for hockey, which I'll see you at a couple games at the rink this year. And I'm just winter is a great time. So is fall, and so is spring. But I love hockey, I love basketball, and all the other sports too. So we're ready to go. Lynn's a great city for sports, no matter what season you're in. So very excited. Check out itemlive.com and the paper 6 days a week, and full coverage there. So thank you for having me, Mukala. Appreciate it.
Righty, man. Thank you for coming on. We'll see you. Yeah, I'll see you at the game. So you guys been watching Plus One. We're out of here. Have a good one, ladies and gentlemen.